So you've just received your Abundant Minds BitAxe, and now we're going to go through the process of getting this thing set up. So there should be three pieces that came with your unit. There is the BitAxe itself, there is a screen that is separate, and then obviously the power supply. So really straightforward to get this thing set up. So first step is you want to get your screen here that has 4 little plugs in, and that will slide right into these little 4 plugs as well. Be really cautious. You don't want to be bending these things. This is going to be the hardest part. See how hard that was? This just sits in here with friction, no need for soldering, anything like that. Next, we want to take our power supply and get our BitAxe powered up. Plugged it into a normal 120 outlet, no need for 240 because this only has one chip running. And we have power. So immediately you'll see the fan starts to run and you'll see that your screen lights up. That is a sign that we are fully functioning and we have power. There are some details on here that we need. The most important one is there is the bottom what says configuration SSID. That is what we're going to be using to find our BitAxe on our network. So we want to make note of the SSID that is listed there. It says BitAxe _ and then a number, and we will go to our computer to be able to configure this thing. So first thing we need to do is connect to it. It is set up to connect to a Wi-Fi network. And you'll see the configuration of BitAxe up here, and we're going to connect to this. This is on a Mac, so if you have a Windows or a Linux, it might look a little different, but you're going to need to go into your Wi-Fi settings, just find the BitAxe network. Click on that, and it will start to try to connect to it. And as soon as it is successfully connected, it should pop up the BitAxe configuration window. There's a few details that you'll need in preparation for getting this set up. The first is you'll need your SSID for your home network. So you can go to your Wi-Fi settings and see the normal network that you're set up on. One thing that I found in setting this up is that the BitAxe does not allow for a 5G Wi-Fi connection. So you will have to connect to a 2.4 gigahertz connection. Most Wi-Fi networks should be able to choose between the two that will work. So if you do have issues finding this later on, you might have to configure something differently. So for now, what we're going to do is go into this login screen and go to our settings. And this is where we're going to just configure everything that is BitAxe. So first is your host name. You can label this whatever you want. I'm going to actually change this to Abundant Axe. My Wi-Fi SSID is going to be particular to my own setup. Mine is the guest 2.4, and then I'm going to enter in the password to that. This is the network that you would give people to plug into your internet or connect to your internet. The nice thing about the BitAxe upon default is it is set up to connect to Public Pool. So you'll see here is Public Pool's website, and it is set up to default to direct to Public Pool. Public Pool is a open source solo Bitcoin mining pool. So unlike Lincoin or Brains Pool or Foundry, this is true solo Bitcoin mining. So you will not receive any Bitcoin payouts until you potentially find a block. That's why they call it lottery mining. The nice thing about the BitAxe and any Bitcoin miner is you have the ability to choose which pool you direct to, but for this purpose, we're going to go with the public pool settings. We're going to confirm the Stratum URL that looks the same, public pool IO, and the Stratum port number 21496 matches the same. And then you'll see here it says username, your Bitcoin address, and a worker name. So what you want to do is you want to generate a Bitcoin address from your Bitcoin wallet. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here, and I'm going to put a period and say Abundant X. So what this is specifying is that if you do hit a block with your BitAxe, the payout will go to your Bitcoin address, and this Abundant Axe is just essentially a label for the specific worker. So if you had maybe 3 Abundant Mine BitAxes, you would maybe do Abundant Axe 01, or 2, or 3. It's pretty arbitrary what you label this. You can label it whatever you want. The Stratum password is going to be left the same. Most pools don't require a password. And we're going to leave all of these other settings the same and default. These are things that you can play around with on the back end once you have it set up and really kind of dial things in and really modify. That's kind of the fun with Bitcoin mining is you can really play, test, and see what works best for your setup. So after we've done with those settings, we're going to hit save. And anytime you change any settings with the BitAxe, we've found what you need to do is go in and restart your miner. So now what's happening is your BitAxe is restarting, and it is going to connect to the Wi-Fi network that you had specified in your settings. So at that point, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our actual BitAxe and find the IP to connect to. All right, now that we have our BitAxe connected to our home network, that's our Wi-Fi network, we are gonna, you can see that this screen has changed. It's gonna cycle through, it's gonna show us all of the stats for our BitAxe miner. So right here it shows the current hash rate, it shows the efficiency and the temp and the best difficulty. Pretty cool that you can see this stuff all on this little screen. You don't have to log into your dashboard to see if it's hashing. And here it shows that we're hashing to our public pool. And here's the important part, is our new IP address. So 192.168.101.175 is what it read. And that is what we're going to need to remember and go and type into our web browser to be able to now access our BitAxe from our web browser and our local Wi-Fi network. We are going to log back in with the IP address that we found on the LCD screen of our BitAxe. So as you saw earlier, we have a 192.168.101.175. We're going to go into our web browser and just type that in and hit enter. And that's going to take us to our BitAxe dashboard. This is an IP address on your local area network. So this is only able to be accessible from the Wi-Fi network that you have connected to. There are ways to connect remotely, but that's a little bit more advanced, so we're not going to get into that in this video. So here is your BitAxe dashboard. And this is where you can access all of your details. You can see the power consumption, the heat, how much the fans are spinning, your performance, what software you're on, what pool you're hashing to, all the details for your solo mining or your BitAxe mining. So a couple things that we want to do is we want to verify that we are actually hashing to public pool. So there's two ways to do that. The first one is we want to go down to the bottom here, and you can see that you have your user address. And if you remember, this was the Bitcoin address that we put in from our Bitcoin wallet. So this is where payouts would go to. So there's the first way to verify this is we can copy that, go over to the public pool website, and here's the main public pool website. So we're going to go over to the main public pool website, and this has a login info, and you can see it's a little odd that it doesn't have a username or password. This is fully open source, and this is a private way of hashing. So all we need to do is type in our Bitcoin address that we input, click on My Workers, and boom, look at that. It is showing our abundant axe, the details on it. So this is confirming that we are actually hashing, and that if our difficulty gets above 92.05 trillion, we have found a Bitcoin block. BitAxe has also made it really simple to access your pool in another way, and it's a little bit easier, and that is going down to the bottom, and it's just the quick link that they've set up. So all you have to do, click the quick link, and look at that. It brings up the same screen, easy. It's logged in already, so this is a really easy way to do this as well. So it shows the same details, and we're pretty far off from finding a block, but we'll get it one of these days. Thing I thought would be good to show is how to update your firmware. The AxeOS is the open source firmware that was developed by Scott, who was the developer of the BitAxe, completely open source. They just recently released an update, so I wanted to go through and show you how to access and update your firmware for your BitAxe. This is once again in your settings section, and you're going to scroll down and you'll see that there is a check button for the latest release. And it's saying that our current version is 2.1.1 and that the latest release is 2.3. So we have an old version on here. They've made it really easy to update this though. So you can see the esp-miner.bin is the file that we want. All you have to do is click on that and it will trigger a download. We're going to save that file to my desktop. Keep that. And now we're going to update our firmware. We're going to go to Browse and we're going to find that file that we just downloaded. And it is updating. Once it is done, what we're going to do is we're going to save and we're going to restart our BitAxe just like we do with any settings that we change. Restart. You can see that it's rebooting right now, 0 gigahash because it's just now kicking off and rebooting. There we go. Now we're up and running. We're going to go back into our settings and confirm that we are on the current version 2.3. So that is, you have officially updated your firmware for your BitAxe.